Well, welcome to a very impromptu session of recording here on Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. We didn't think we'd be starting our week like this, but we had to jump on here. I'm Ryan Drury alongside Clarkey, and of course, we've got some huge golf news to discuss after one of the most incredible things we've ever seen in the sport. And on that note, of course, if there's big golf news, you know who we want to talk to. It's our golf expert and our good buddy Ian Doig of the Ian Doig Golf Academy, longtime pro golfer. And Doigy, we just witnessed something that everybody, I think, in the golf world has wanted to see for the last 11 years. Rory McIlroy, a Masters champion, and bigger than that, he's a Grand Slam champion, and he's the sixth guy to ever do it. It's Sarazen, Hogan, Player, Nicholas Woods, and now Rory. How are you feeling, buddy? Because I know you love Rory almost more than anybody that I know, myself included.
I
How are
do.
you feeling, man?
I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely exhausted. I'm more tired right now than I am when I play my own rounds of golf because I lived and died with every shot today. And trust me, there was some bad ones hit by
Oh,
Rory, and it was driving me crazy. My heart was up and down, and my gut was up and down, and my stomach was in my throat half the day, and my heart was just beating away and everything. And I wasn't sure if the defibrillator or not was going to keep up with all the stress that it was under. But at the end, he got it done. And he's, as they've been talking about, he's on golf's Mount Rushmore. He's one of the best six ever. And, it was incredible. It was a crazy day out there. Absolutely crazy.
it was absolutely bonkers. I mean, the week was crazy. Justin Rose, who I want to get him out of the way right away. I mean, what a classy guy, a guy that battled and chipped away and just stayed in contention. What a round he had, the low round of the day on Sunday to keep himself in contention. He was an absolute machine on Sunday, coming up just inches short to try and force a second playoff hole. So classy to Rory. He knew what that meant to him and really the sport, and said as much when he was talking to Amanda Balianis afterwards. I mean, Justin Rose, one of the classiest guys and most well-liked guys on the course, so kudos to him. But the whole week was crazy. Rory had an awful Thursday. Well, not awful, but not good. And the prospects, I think everybody was kind of thinking, oh, geez. He comes back with just an all time monster round on Friday. He has a great round Saturday, and you're thinking, oh my God, like Rory is right in there. And then he comes out on Sunday and has a nightmare start. Bryson takes the lead off him by a stroke, but then Rory just recomposed for a little bit on that front nine, and Bryson started falling apart. I mean, what did you make after we got through those first nine holes, 7 and 8 in particular, and then nine when he birdied it to go to 13 under? Like, where's your head at then? Because I'll tell you where I was. I was feeling pretty good.
So was I. And a couple things come to mind. First of all, he got to 13 under. At that point in time, he had a four-shot lead. Two guys I was concerned about were Rosie and Ludwig Ahlberg because I knew that they could put a push on near the end. Um, I wasn't really concerned with Bryson DeChambeau for a couple of reasons. He didn't have his best stuff all week. He had kind of done it with smoke and mirrors, got it up and down a lot the first 3 days. And here's a crazy stat, and I haven't actually looked at the final numbers on it, but going into today, so they've been tracking all the shots on the driving range for the week, and going into today, he was at 1,100 and change practice shots for the week. That's like that's like playing 20 extra rounds of golf during the week. Like I just thought, and I said this to somebody last night when we were talking, I said, he'll be exhausted tomorrow. You can't keep that up. I don't care how strong, how big you are, much you work out and everything. That takes its toll, and I think it took its toll on him today, both mentally and physically, because his golf swing broke down. I mean, he hit it in the water a couple times today and stuff, and so. But when Rory walked to the 10th tee, my thought process was okay, just play good, patient golf, hit it in the middles of the greens, take your two putts and move on and get this out without any stress. And then he birdied number 10. And I thought, okay, here we go. And from that point on, it was an absolute roller coaster of a round. I didn't know what was coming next.
It was absolutely wild stuff. And we'll get to what happened next because Eamon Corner was the height of the roller coaster ride, man. Eamon Corner sent us into really the golf world into a frenzy. Clarkey, I know you were catching bits and pieces and saw the end. Like, what were your thoughts on the roller coaster ride we all went on, and how it finally came to pass that Rory is finally he's immortal. He's an immortal golfer.
Yeah, no question. And his emotion showed, especially getting the green jacket when he was talking about his parents in the in Butler cabin afterwards. But no, it was. It, I hate to say this, but I kind of like when guys struggle because I can relate. Right, when guys hit it in the woods, like I've had a lot of those shots. Right, like I can relate to that. I don't usually get the same kind of uh, outcome as these guys do when they get into the woods. Like it is amazing that one shot he had where he had to. I think he actually hit a pine tree, and he laughed. He's like,
The
oh,
branch,
how
yeah.
can how can I have done that?
That was number 7.
And then when
Yeah.
like, and you talk about Oberg, the guy you love, boy, oh boy, he had a rough 18. Like that 18th hole, he was back and forth like a soldier,
He
left,
was
right, left, right.
hacking it around, man. Oh,
So again, I've been there, and I've seen that before. But that then had the delay, and Rory must have been on that 18th tee the first time around for 10 minutes waiting. But you know what? Like Justin Rose to me, and again, I wasn't locked in all afternoon. I do have a life, and I had other things to do, but all of a sudden, there's Justin Rose. I'm like, what? And good on him because I've always been a fan of Justin Rose, and I love to see that all of a sudden he was there. The three of us had an unbelievably close pool this week as well. Doigie won. I think I came in second, but boy, it was close the whole weekend. So it was fun to watch for sure, and the Leafs won, so that made it
Yeah,
even better.
even better. But you know
yeah.
what, Clarky, you're right. Justin Rose is one of the classiest guys around. I mean, I have loved him for years and years and years. He's the epitome of a professional. Goes about his business. He's very kind and
Hmm.
generous. And
Yeah,
if it was anybody other than Rory, I would have been pulling for Justin Rose to win.
sure,
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
right, like that,
100%.
and
Look at
that was
even
hard on my heart because that's a guy that I would have said I'd love to see him win the Masters. But the only problem was he was going up against Rory, and
yeah,
I think Rory
yeah,
winning this is huge for golf. I mean, golf's kind of been fluctuating back and forth a little bit over the last couple of years, and for Rory to pull this off this year with everything that's gone on, him losing the U.S. Open to Bryson last year and everything else, I just think that this is going to be really good for golf going forward. I love it. I just absolutely love it. And it doesn't hurt that I have Rory in my pool, which is going to shoot me up near the top of the leaderboard in my big pool that I'm in. And that helps. Little surprised that Ludwig Aberg finished the way he did, but I think when he bogeyed, when he three putted 17 for bogey, he pretty much realized he was out of it and he probably lost a little bit of concentration. Like the shot
for
that he hit
sure.
out of the
Yep.
bunker on 18 where it hit the lip. I don't think that happens if he knows, hey, if I make birdie, I can still win this thing. But at that point in time, he was done. He had to hold the shot and maybe he went for it with the club that he had to, get cut really close to the top of the bunker. But I've watched Rory, and you guys have heard me say this on the show numerous occasions because I really do. I love the way he plays golf. He is, in my opinion, probably the best ball striker, the best player in the game today. He's got every shot. And that to me sometimes is part of his problem because he's so good at every shot that sometimes he tries to pull off shots that he really doesn't need to. But I keep going back to the same thing over and over and over again. And I've said this for years, is he is so tense at setup sometimes. His arms get very rigid. And I look back to today's round. The two shots that really stick out there's actually four shots. The shot on 13, where he hit it in the water from 86 yards. He looked awful over that shot. Wedge in your hand from 86 yards. And then on the 72nd hole, he's got 125 yards from the middle of the fairway on 18. So he's got gap wedge in. And it's not even a big gap wedge for him. But I look at him from behind, and he's got really tense arms, and he blows it way right.
Do you think he was trying to draw that in, just didn't get the draw?
Yeah, but that's the tense, because when he gets tense like that, his hands move outside of his chin line. And so then the golf swing, his hands are too far away from his body. If you go back and look at the replay of that shot and the replay of the shot in the playoff, exact same yardage, 125 yards, and he hit it to 2.5 feet. And if you look at his arms are hanging softer and under his chin line better, and he hit a perfect golf shot.
And you think there would have been more pressure, though, Doigie, on that playoff hole. But maybe he just said, or maybe his caddy spotted it, maybe something, I don't know. But
no, it basically, when it comes down to the playoffs, playoffs are easier because you know you're either going to win or you're going to finish second, one or the other. You can't finish worse than second. And I actually think playoffs take pressure off. And you go ahead and can free will it a little bit better. And you think about the tee shot he hit and the wedge shot he hit were absolutely both perfect, and he hit a good putt. So I was ecstatic for him. I'm just over the moon for the guy. Very happy.
I want to ask Ryan, Ryan, I don't know if you've ever had a bigger week in sports, to be honest with you. You watched Ovi break the record.
Yeah.
You watched Rory become immortal. And you watch Clarkey be the first star of the charity hockey game.
Yeah,
that's a hat trick of all hat tricks.
It's a true trifecta of incredible sporting moments for me. Yeah. I mean, I will say, the biggest, watching the Caps win the Cup obviously was
sure.
Nothing will ever trump that. But I mean, in terms of consecutive events, pretty unbelievable, because I've been lucky, and I don't know why I have the pessimistic attitude I do.
Yeah, your texts were unbelievable. Dude, lay off the guy. Lay off. Let him finish the round. Hey,
but
Doigie,
we can't.
It was unbelievable. And Doigie and I are delayed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would you just wait?
I know.
Well,
I had to
not only that, not only was I delayed to begin with, I'm on a Fire Stick, so my TV's on internet.
Right,
and it started buffering. And at the end, I was about 7 minutes behind, and it was buffering as well. And I kept thinking to myself, okay, this thing's going to buffer, and then it's going to jump forward to the finish, and I'm going to miss it all.
That's terrible, dude. I'm sorry.
But each time it came out of the buffer, it was okay. But Brian kept texting me.
I know, yeah. We had a group text going on.
What a shot, or what a terrible shot. And I'm like, well, hold on, I haven't seen it yet.
Exactly.
So, I apologize. I was a little too over the moon. And it's because, you're waiting for something to go wrong, and it did. 13 is the standout moment, and it's the moment we would have all looked back on and been like, oh my God, it's Rory doing this again. That's an inexcusable wedge shot that he plants in the water. It
happens, though, man. It happens.
And
it just happens.
I know, but it's just that it's happened to him in this pursuit of greatness so many times.
Think about this. You think about the shot he hit on 18 from the middle of the fairway into the bunker. You think about the shot on 13 from 86 yards. He hit it into the water, right?
You think about 1 and 2.
And if I start to think more how many other times from the middle of the fairway he hit poor golf shots over the course of the week, right? But today, on number 5, he's in the jungle, and he hits an unbelievable 9-iron from 182 yards to the back left corner of the green and makes 4. Number 7, he's in the left trees, and he hits an unbelievable 9-iron up out of the trees and on the green. And then after he's lost the lead, and he's out of the lead and looking like he's just going to fold like a cheap chair because he's made double on 13 and bogey on 14. He has to hit this big sweeping hook with a 7-iron from 204 yards on number 15, and he hits it to 5 feet. I'm like, what is wrong with this guy?
I know, and that lends back to what you said and what we've said on here 100 times. He can make any shot you want, and that's, I think, what's going to be the most impressive thing looking back on today, beyond obviously the meaning that it has for him as a player, the meaning that it has for the sport, and really the PGA Tour, which we can dig into more, obviously, how massively important this was. You know, when we look back, yeah, he hit some bad shots today. He also hit some shots that are going to live in Masters lore because he won it and the fashion in which he won it, where he didn't make it easy and guys didn't make it easy on him, that are going to stick out in people's minds. And I think 15 for me for that eagle might be the one where that shot that he hit was absolutely disgusting.
Well,
Curling that around the
made,
trees.
He made the eagle yesterday. He missed the putt.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
Right.
He missed
So he
the
made
putt.
the eagle
That's
yesterday.
what's crazy. He hits that unbelievable shot, and you're like, here comes another eagle. And he made a
Right.
number of eagles
Yeah.
on the course this week on those par fives, and he plants that within, 6 feet, and you're like, here comes another one. Manages to get a stroke anyway, and, you know, that approach on 17 as well on the elevated hill.
So it's funny you go to that one, Ryan, because there's a couple shots from today, but all week long. And look, we've already talked about the mishits and the bad shots and that, but there was a couple breaks that he got today. One of the biggest breaks of the day is actually on number 11 when he had to hit the low hook under the tree and it hit the mountains and kick left. I mean, that thing rolls 6 more inches. It's in the water.
It's in the water.
Right. And when somebody wins, those are the little things that start to kind of add up at the end of the week. I mean, that goes in the water. He makes double instead of making a bogey, or maybe makes triple. So that helped. And then unbelievably to me, the shot on 17 with the 8-iron from 182 yards, I think it was, on an upslope, and the ball hit and landed hard. It landed and kicked forward to get it up to the 3 or 4 feet. I fully expected, you could hear him saying, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And I fully expected it because he hit it so high and so hard with so much spin on it. I fully expected it to hit on the green, take one bounce and stop 20 feet short of the hole. And it hit firm and released up to the hole. And those are the things that happen when you win golf tournaments.
That reminded me of Sergio. That one, was it the same hole? Like, was it the same?
Yes, it was.
Because he was running up and jumping and looking, and he knew he hit it well. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
but that's what it reminded me of as soon as I saw it.
Yeah. So
what was that? 2017 that Sergio had that land?
No.
But what a day!
Before
what a day! And some of the golf shots, but even think about Patrick Reed. He came out of nowhere on the weekend to finish top 5.
He did foot wedge Reed. He was good. Yeah. And you know what? I was gonna honestly. There's always guys who say, "Oh, I was gonna pick him." I had him marked as my 4th guy, and I was gonna pick him. And I go, I can't do it.
I know.
I just thought he was going to have a good tournament.
Because he's on the other side of the spectrum, right? Where he is certainly not a popular guy.
Rose.
No, definitely not. And that's, that goes a long way, right? But I'm thrilled with what happened. And honestly, let's talk about what this means for the tour, obviously, because we've been talking ad nauseum for the last 3 years with all the live stuff and how Rory has been, the knight in shining armor for the tour, the guy that, I can guarantee that live representatives, contacted him, and I wouldn't be shocked if someday we heard that they offered him close to $1 billion to leave the PGA Tour. I bet it was probably somewhere in that ballpark, and he didn't. Yeah, exactly, because he is the figurehead, the face of golf. And
he
I
moves the
guarantee
needle.
they reached. Yeah, exactly. They for sure put something in front of him, and he said, "No, I'm
Yeah.
on the PGA Tour. This is the best tour in the world. I'm Rory McIlroy. I have plenty of money. I care about the competition. I care about the integrity of the game." And he came out and was so staunchly defendant of the tour and was very angry, and rightfully so, when he heard all these rumors about how PGA and Live are, still trying to negotiate how to, bring the game back together, if you will. And for him to
Well,
finally do this in this fashion is just mad. On, I swear to God, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this, Doigie. Jay Monahan should commission somebody to build a statue of Rory in his front lawn. I'm dead serious. I'm not
that's
kidding.
funny. That's funny. It's funny. I mean, obviously, we know that I'm a big Rory fan, and just talking about the live thing and everything, and Rory was very staunchly against it and talked about it and everything, and he was very much on the PJ Tour's side of the aisle of all of it. He has since backtracked quite a bit and that, but one of the things is, and they mentioned it on the telecast today, that there's a guy, investment banker by the name of Jimmy Dunn, who has tried to negotiate a settlement between Liv and the PGA Tour, and he's one of Rory's best friends. And I find it interesting that they haven't got that done now. But Jimmy Dunn's actually walked away from the table and isn't going to negotiate anymore. So clearly, there's a divide somewhere, and they're really going to struggle to kind of bring things together, which is hurting the game, right? You think about how exciting this was, and you had how many live players were playing in it. Like there's
Yep.
12 or 14 of them for sure. And you think about Bryson was in the hunt, Patrick Reed was in the hunt, Joaquin Neiman played pretty good up to a point. And so you start to look at these guys that are, because the argument has always been, well, they only play 54 holes and they've gone soft because they don't have to work at their game anymore. I always hated that statement that they don't have to work at their game because, and I use myself as an example. I'm almost 64 years old and I went out and hit balls for 3 hours this morning. We, as athletes, whether it's hockey or golf or football or baseball or whatever the hell it is, we as athletes have it right in here. It's in our heart and our gut. And we always are striving to get better. Now, sure, you're going to have the odd guy that's kind of soft and doesn't really care, but the rest of us do. And we're going to work hard at it regardless of where we're playing. And that to me was witnessed this week with the amount of live guys that played well.
Yeah.
And I think that's, in the long run, that's going to be good for golf too. So,
Yeah, I completely agree. Obviously, the moment, it's something that everybody's been waiting for a long, long time. Doigie, you've been around the game your whole life. I mean, where does this rank? I mean, because you've had a lot of personal success on the golf course, particularly over the last 12 months, which we've been really excited to see for you.
well, at a
You've
much
watched
lesser level.
well, but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
It's still important. The game means an awful lot to you. And I know that Rory and everything that he represents means a lot to you. And like Clarkey kind of jokingly said, but it really rings true. Like it's been a thrill for me. Like I didn't really get into the game until a number of years ago, and like began to understand how important Rory is, what Rory represents. Like you're always aware of it, but from a distance. Now I've become so much more invested in him, even more so since we've become friends. But for you, who's been around the game for so long and been able to enjoy so many great moments yourself and been able to, watch many great moments that have inspired your career, where's this one rank, man? Because like you've seen some very, very great, the all-time greats play this game. This one here, though, like I sent you guys the fall. Like I was bawling. I was so happy for Rory. I'm holding tears back now. It's so great that this happened. Where's this rank for you?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a little bit of time, but as of right now, I would say it's very high up there. I won't lie to anybody. I had tears in my eyes. I was so happy for him, because he's worked so hard to get this done, and he's only the sixth player in the history of the game to do it. And the last one to do it was Tiger 25 years ago or whatever it was, right?
Yep,
And so
25.
you start to look at things like that, and you're like, man, oh man. So when I look at things that have happened over the years in the world of golf and that. So a couple that come to mind, I think back, and they showed highlights of it today because the pin on 16 today was an homage to when Jack made the putt there in 1975. Willie Peterson was his caddy at the time. I knew Willie Peterson, I met him later on in the 80s, but got to know Willie a little bit. My interactions with Mr. Nicklaus. So those stand out in my mind of everything that Jack did in 75. I remember the outfit he had on, all of that stuff. And then in 86, when he won in 86, was spectacular. You start to think about Tiger chipping it in when he beat Chris DeMarco. He chipped it in on 16. I mean, I look back and I think, the amount of great players that I've been fortunate enough to kind of grow up in the same decades as them. I started watching golf at the end of Hogan's career, but I knew who he was. But I got to watch Nicklaus and Tom Watson and Lee Trevino and Raymond Floyd and Tiger and now Rory and and I competed against some of them. So to be able to look back on all of that, it's enormously, I guess, gratifying would be a word to use to say that I've been able to kind of be in that circle a little bit, not at the level that they're playing at, although I did play some events on the PGA Tour and stuff like that, but to just be able to be around that, and to go to those events and to see those guys and say hi to them and stuff has been incredible. To walk up and have Arnold Palmer come over and shake your hand and say hi. Holy crap, man. Right? Like, I didn't think Arnold Palmer had any idea who Ian Doig was, but he walked up to me and said, "Hey, Ian, how you doing?" Like, that was crazy. That blew my mind away. And Nicholas did the same thing. So, yeah, crazy stuff.
Absolutely, man. Very poignant, very well said, and we're all going to be celebrating this win for Rory for a long time, I think, man. It's incredible stuff, Doigie. Thanks so much for doing this as always, buddy. It's a great day.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And what a great day. And to top it off, I didn't get to see any of the game, but I think our Leafs won again.
They did. They did.
They did.
Looks like they're going to be division champs, which is a big deal too. So
yeah, but I guess we need to call Gary Bettman up and ask him why he was scheduling a 5 o'clock hockey game on the Sunday afternoon of the Masters.
Unbelievable! It really is unbelievable. Like it's not that they didn't know.
No,
yeah. And I bet the players were furious. I bet the players were furious.
Oh, for sure.
So, yeah,
for sure.
We can't get into that because if we start digging into this, it's going to be a 3-hour show.
Let's go. We had a good show. Let's not extend it here.
How many people were tuning out of the golf to watch the hockey game?
I had no hockey on my phone.
None.
Zero.
None.
Zero. There was no chance I was leaving my couch.
No way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. An all-time couch surfing day for sure, but not for Rory. Incredible stuff. He's an immortal. And the Irish eyes are smiling, man. It's great stuff.
The Irish eyes are smiling.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
And by the way,
Clarkey and I are going to Ireland.
Yes. Clarkey, I didn't realize that you were first star. Congratulations. I did see some of the highlights.
Didn't realize it?
I saw some of the highlights. I watched some of it. I watched him make 5 saves in about a little short period of time.
First star.
Yeah. And the color commentator was doing a great job, and so it was interesting to watch.
Color commentator not only did a good job, he was color commentating and working the camera.
And working the cameras,
time,
yeah. The play-by-play guy, the play-by-play guy was terrible. The play-by-play guy was really bad, but
No, it was
really
good. It was
incredible stuff.
unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
And you might have inspired Rory. You might
I
have
think I
inspired
might have.
Rory.
Yeah, and I've
Absolutely.
inspired these guys.
Old
Great hat trick
dogs
this week.
can
Been fun.
learn new tricks. How about that?
Yeah.
Even Rory.